You seeing people arriving?
Yeah, I see a lot of people coming in and hanging out, and just think there's probably people still, going to the bathroom, getting their popcorn ready, grabbing their ho-hos and Mountain Dews, and just hanging out, ready to go.
Gotcha. Hey, do you want to go ahead and kind of give them an idea of what we're gonna talk about here?
We are going to be talking about how people can buy homes for the very first time, especially with this $8,000 tax credit that everybody's been hearing so much about here lately. I'm telling you that it's a great time to be on this webinar because time is running out. Everybody says December 1st is actually the very last day of November. If you wait till D1, you're done. So I want to clarify that right off the bat. Plus, we've got some other things we're going to be showing to you, how you can find unclaimed money. And so I'm very excited to be a part of this one because this one's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I just pulled this unclaimed money thing out the other day. I had actually ordered a book from a well-known TV personality, and it had a bunch of information in it. I figured this would be really good to share. It's just this website where you can basically, if you've got anything on there, you can just claim cash that hasn't been claimed yet. It's really nice. We're going to give away the secret website here at the end of the presentation, and hopefully that'll give you guys enough money to do part of what you want to do, maybe a home inspection, or if you got any credit issues that we need to clean up, we can use it for that, or whatever we want to do. But we're also, like you said, you're going to go over the first-time home buyer tax credit, talk about where we are in the market, what kind of programs are available still out there. Subprime's of course dead, but we've still got some other really good programs out there, and we're going to go. We're just going to talk about what it takes. What I've done is I've taken the 20 most popular questions that everybody sent in, and that's exactly what we're going to go over. And feel free, please, to pop up a question during the presentation if you want, and I'll try to get to it. And if we don't get to it, I'll definitely email your answer to you after the presentation. And
is my question in there about is it football season yet? I'm sick of baseball.
Absolutely.
I'm sick of baseball. I'm ready to see some teams knock each other out. So
yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely, I agree with you. Chris. So we'll give it like 2 more minutes here. We'll get everybody in. I see there's about, we already got 25 people in already. That's great. I'm excited about it.
It's amazing. I think we're going to have a great turnout tonight.
Yeah, I've got actually 6 realtors on too from different parts of the country. So I'm excited about them. We might pull them in at the end if we have time. Oh, let's see.
Speaking of the unclaimed money, I bet I don't have a dime. I always try to get all of mine.
Well, I'm actually gonna pull up and show. The first time I did it a few weeks ago, I found money. I'm actually going to show, walking through that website, how easy it is, and I'm just going to show you the money that is in my name that I can just claim at any time.
Show me the money.
All right, I guess we've waited long enough. We've got quite a few people on now.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll move on to the first slide. Okay, how does purchasing a home compare with renting? Well, of course, the one advantage of renting is that you're free of most maintenance responsibility. I would say that's the only advantage of renting. Other advantages.
Plus, you don't have to mow your yard either.
Well, yeah. Unless you've got somebody that's not mowing it, which that happens a lot, especially nowadays when your landlord might be having problems too and not paying his bills. But anyway, advantages to home ownership are, of course, a chance to build equity in your property. There's many tax benefits. I mean, you're going to get extra tax money back toward the end of the year from owning a home. Your protection against rent increases because your payment is a fixed payment. so it's not going to change. You can decorate your home. You know, you can paint it purple like Chris does.
Oh yeah, or paint it shades of yellow, what I did before my wife and I moved in, 100 times.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And I'm going to pull up something here real quick that I put together today, just kind of explaining the benefits of homeownership and everything. Actually, I'm sorry. We'll come back to that in a little while. But next slide would be, how do I know if I'm ready to buy a home? Well, you got to have a job. Nowadays, the stated loans and everything are gone. Got to have some kind of income coming in, whether it's fixed income or some place that you're employed. And usually, not necessarily have to be there for 2 to 3 years, but it helps. We're looking for job gaps less than, say, 6 months or so. If they get any more than that, we have to really, really explain them pretty deeply.
Yeah, so don't keep jumping from job to job thinking the grass is greener. Hold off until you actually buy the home first, and then you can change if you feel the need. But,
right.
Let's get that 2 or 3 year job history and make it solid.
Right. We're also going to look at your record of paying your bills, basically your credit, what your, have you paid your bills on time, what's your score, all that good stuff. And if it's not perfect, which, 60% of Americans either have inaccuracies on their credit report or there's problems with their credit report. If that's the case, we can definitely help repair that. You've got to have some kind of credit history. And nowadays, unless you're doing, I guess, USDA, which we'll talk about in a little while, or a VA loan, you've got to have some money down saved for a payment, for a down payment, unless you've got gift funds coming from a family member or something like that. You've also got to have the ability to pay the mortgage every month. I mean, that's why a lot of people are in the position that they are now, because they didn't really have the ability to pay the mortgage, and they went into it, just thinking that, I guess, it would last forever, but, you want to be able to have that ability to pay that mortgage. And I think have some money in the banks, have some reserves. Anything for a rainy day, because, it's going to happen. That happened to me, actually, 2 weeks ago. My air conditioner went out. I called Chris, and I was like, oh, my God. It was like 105 degrees, and my air conditioner went out. Wasn't covered.
Of course not.
Of course, yeah, no, the builder didn't cover it. So that was $2,000 out of my pocket. If I wouldn't have had those reserves, I'd have been sitting in the heat for 3 or 4 days. So it's important to have those reserves, even though you're making a large chunk of that payment toward that mortgage. Don't you agree, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. Homeownership is great and wonderful, but you are responsible for the repairs in the home. So it's always great to have that money in the bank. Just like you said, the air went out. I think you were here a couple of years ago, and my air went out downstairs, and then it went out upstairs within 3 days. So
yeah.
You've got to have those funds to cover, those incidents like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's go to the next one here. The next question I got by email was, how do I know what kind of house I need? And I think, make a list of your priorities, what you really need, and what you want, I would say. The most important thing is, of course, location. Are you near a job, your schools that are surrounding, and the size, of course, of the house, and amenities, and whether it's a pool, a fireplace, or whatever you need. And I put a website down here that you definitely want to visit, because I really, really like this website. It's called neighborhoodscout.com. It pulls, I think there's a free trial on it too, that you can get your information in about 5 days and then cancel the trial. But gives you some great information. You can actually plug in what you're looking for, what type of neighborhood you're looking for, and it'll pull it out of, across the whole country if you want. But it's a really good site. Let's see here. Okay. One thing everybody asks is, how do I find a deal? Right now there's so many foreclosures out there, so many bank-owned properties, short sales, things like that. everybody wants a deal. I mean, because a large portion of our inventory is selling at a discount right now, and you definitely want to take advantage of that. So I've put several different websites here to go to. If we had time, we'd go to them. Maybe in another webinar we'll do that. But I'll just kind of explain. The HUD.gov website is the government's website. Go to that. On the left-hand side, you'll see Find Homes. You can actually go into your individual states and pull up thousands and thousands of homes. I think you've gone through that, Chris, haven't you?
I have. Actually, in the city where I live, I think there were well over 200 listings just in this general area.
Wow.
And there's a ton of homes out there. So if you just take your time and do your due diligence, you can find a deal. It's just gonna require a little bit of your time.
Absolutely. And I found this one a while back called bargain.com, and then you go into the home sale portion of it, and this is phenomenal because it'll pull up whether a house is a short sale. You can actually go in and put a zip code in, say, just put a zip code in, and it'll pull the for sale by owners, the short sales, and the actual foreclosures, and it gives you the contact information for not only the realtor, but also the REO person who's in charge, which an REO person is a person at the bank that manages the properties for the bank. And their job is, of course, to sell the properties as quick as possible. But you got to try this. It's got another 5-day free trial on it. You can pull all the information you need for your zip codes and then cancel your trial, kind of like I did. Anything to keep from, getting another monthly. What do you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just go on, get in, get out.
Yeah.
You don't get hit with the charge.
Yeah. So another one, of course, if you were looking for value and try to figure out what your value is on the house you're looking at, Zillow is excellent. Zillow.com, you type in the address of the property, it pulls up, it'll pull all the comps around it, all the listings around it, tell you what that thing is, a good idea of what it's worth. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
They've actually gotten better about their values over the years.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, when they first started out, it was bad, but they have. I've got another AVM program that I pull that's very close to Zillow a lot, and that means that thing's pretty good now. We went over Neighborhood Scout already. It's a great program. Fannie Mae actually has properties that they sell as well. Here's the website. I'll email this to you. Just shoot me an email if you want. I'll send you a full page of these. I've got 20 or 30 more too, of just places to look for properties. But this is the Fannie Mae one that you can actually go in and look at all Fannie Mae properties. Home Steps is the Freddie Mac version of it. You can go in and look at all the Freddie Mac properties. So this is where to actually go and do your research to find the home that you're looking for. Okay, so what steps need to be taken to secure a loan? And before you go out there and look for the house, you really want to find out where you're at. You want to know exactly where you are and what it's going to take to get in a home if you can't now. If your credit score is low, if something's going on, what's it going to take to get my score up? What's it going to take to get me to the point where I can buy this house? So what we do is we take a complete loan application, and then we look at the documentation that you have in respect to getting the loan. Paycheck stubs, W-2s, bank statements, of course the contract, your rental history, things like that. We take all those into account in pre-approving you to go out and buy a house. But of course the first step is taking that complete loan application. And I'm going to give a free website here at the end that you can go on. You can type in your information. It's secure and completely safe. And I pull a tri-merge credit report on it, so you'll know exactly what your scores are. You'll know exactly what your credit is like, and what we need to do to get you to the point where you can get some of those deals.
And one thing I'd like to say, please make sure that all of your documentation is in order. I mean, try not to give us, pay stubs from 3 months ago.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, over the years, I've seen that, the more the more accurate you are with us as your loan officer, the more we can determine how to structure to close that loan. You know, if you've taken off 3 months, don't just send me 3 months of paycheck stubs from the behind. Let me know you've taken off that 3 months and why. And we can work around that and actually do it the correct way. But the days of hiding anything are over. I mean, do you agree with that, Chris?
It's all going to come out.
It's all going to come out.
Because,
but
you know,
I actually, yeah.
Because, you know, when we're taking your loan application, unfortunately, in this day and age, we have to become private investigators. So we're going to. It's kind of like a mini interrogation. So you need to tell us everything up front because it's going to show its ugly head at some point.
Yeah, and you know, we go through everything with you up front. So then, if there's any issues, you're not sitting at the closing table, and somehow your loan's declined because that research wasn't done in the beginning. And that's huge. I mean, because if you don't do research in the beginning, you submit a not a complete application, then it's going to come out, and at the last minute, you could be looking at a possible decline. That's why I really think staying away from inexperienced loan officers and people that are just new in the business is very important right now, because you want to make sure that you're getting a good review of your situation.
Trust me, you will thank us later.
Yeah. And both Chris and I have been doing this for way too long. I mean, I'm 9 years, and Chris is, I think, 12, aren't you, Chris?
Yeah, 13, 14. I think I lost count.
So we're going to go over now. Of course, you hear these terms: pre-qualified, pre-approved, and full underwrite. Let's talk about what the differences are and what you need. Pre-qualification, Chris could call me up on the phone and say, "Hey, Keith, I make $60,000, and I want to buy a house that's $250,000, and I've got 3.5 to put down, and my credit score is great. What do I need?" And I could right at that point from a pre-qualification say, "Chris, sounds good, buddy. Here's what your interest rate is. Here's your payment. Let's roll." But it's basically worthless, and that's what a pre-qualification is. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people out there quoting rates, kind of like a doctor. It kind of reminds me of a doctor just telling you, what your problems are and giving you some medicine without ever even looking into your situation or examining you. It's scary.
That's kind of why we go to the doctor to get a diagnosis rather than call them up on the phone and then they mail in or send in the prescription. I mean,
right.
It's worthless. It's that they're not worth the paper they're written on.
Right. A pre-qualification, like it's as good as whatever information you gave us verbally over the phone. So the next step, of course, is to pre-approve. And this is really what you do is you're sending us those items we talked about earlier by fax, and we're reviewing them for you to determine what your numbers are and what you qualify for. Well, this is a lot better. You're actually seeing what you're qualifying for on paper, and we can really get almost a perfect idea of what you do qualify for and what will happen. Don't you agree, Chris?
We have started diagnosing your situation.
Yeah. And then you've got full underwrite. And nowadays we can underwrite a file without an appraisal, which is the best. When I say full underwrite, I mean we're taking and we do this on basically a lot of short sales. If a short sale is sitting waiting for an agreed contract with a bank, we'll go ahead and send in the package like it is and get that approval, get a full underwrite. So when that bank comes back and says, okay, we agree on this price, we can pull the trigger and go ahead and get that thing closed. And that's what I think is the best way to do a full underwrite if you can. You can't always do it, but a full underwrite is the best way to go.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we need to move along here. I'm probably boring some people. Remember, we're giving free money away at the end of this thing, so kind of hang in there with me. But this is important stuff you do need to load. Okay, what kind of credit score do we need, and what are the scores? Well, they range from 300 to 850. Of course, you don't want to be 300. You want to be 850. But And like I said, over half of the reports aren't accurate, and they're not correct. So look, the 5 factors make up the credit scoring model. We'll go over that. Chris, you want to go over that?
I'm sorry?
You want to go over the 5 factors that make up the scoring model, like balance and credit limit and all that good stuff?
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you have a 300 score, you're probably not even paying attention. So
that's a great point. That's a great point.
We've got some work to do if you're in the 300 range.
Yeah.
So, talk to us after the show. So, the rule of thumb with the balances in our industry, if you try to keep those credit balances with credit cards and other accounts less than 30%, I've even told people try to keep them at 20% of the balance, that is going to increase your score dramatically.
Absolutely, yeah.
Opening new accounts, I'm not a fan of that, especially when you're starting this process. You need to sit tight with what you have. Don't go out and buy a new car in the middle of the loan process, because it's going to throw your debt ratio way out of whack. Your credit scores will drop because you're adding a high-ticket item.
Right.
So you're qualified for this great deal. Your credit is repulled before the closing to make sure things haven't changed. All of a sudden, your loan is declined because now you can't qualify for it.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to be smart with your credit.
Absolutely. And anything on a credit report can be changed. Anything. I mean, if it's wrong, if it's inaccurate, it can even be. I mean, if you think it's wrong or you feel like it's wrong, it can be changed. So there are attorneys out there that can change anything on a credit report pretty easily and pretty inexpensive now if you got credit challenges. And we go to the last thing, can I repair my credit myself? Of course, I get this question all the time, and you can. It's if you have the time. If you have the time to sit there and send letter after letter after letter to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, asking them to take this off, proving to them that it's inaccurate, and spending the time to do it. And do you have the contacts? Do you know how to get in and get out and get it done? And I think that's what these attorneys that are out there do a great job at, is they know what to do. I mean, this is what they do day in and day out. They repair credit. And
here's another thing, too. If a creditor sees a letter coming from, just one of us, that's not going to carry much weight. But if they see that ATTY or attorney at law or Esquire after a name, they're going to be a little bit quick to pick up that letter and get on it and get things fixed.
Absolutely, yeah. I completely agree with you there. Yeah. All right, let's move along here. All right. And how can you find out about your credit? Well, right now, stay away from freecreditreport.com. It's a ripoff. All they're trying to do is set you up on this monthly service that you're going to pay, I don't know, $30, $40 a month, and it's not worth it. All you really want is your scores and your credit history anyway. So what you can do is you can go to annualcreditreport.com. It's completely free. Once a year, you're guaranteed a credit report from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I actually did it a while back. It's very easy. It's all done online. You put in your information, type in, I think, your address, your name, and your social, and it pulls up right there. I mean, it immediately pulls up, and you can print it off. It's got all your credit information. It doesn't have your scores, but it's got all your credit information. If you want your scores, you can fill out my secure online application at the end of this, and your scores, we'll get your scores for you too. So, definitely you want to seek out and find out what your credit score is and what your credit's like. Okay, can you buy a home with less than perfect credit? Absolutely. We're looking for stuff really around 600 or better right now. If you're not 600 or better, we can get you there. We've got attorneys, like I said, that can get that done for you. You can repair it yourself, fix the inaccuracies on the credit report, public records, trade lines, things that affect the FICO score. We can get all that fixed. So if you got less than perfect credit, we can definitely work. Plus, FHA is just made for people with less than perfect credit. I mean, I've seen some amazing stuff done with FHA loans on things. I mean, it doesn't really look past 2 years. You can explain away pretty much anything as long as it's an accurate explanation. It's just an awesome program for first-time home buyers with credit issues or past credit issues.
And I always tell people, you may think that you can't qualify for a home because you think that you may have credit issues. It's at least worth taking a look, because you may not be as bad as you think. And if you've messed up in the past, you can get fixed up now, so you can buy a home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the biggest question I had, and I think my ad out right now, is about 100% programs, and there used to be tons of them, but there's not anymore. There's not many 100% programs out there, and the rural housing program is one that's excellent. There's no mortgage insurance, low rates, and it's 100%. Not only is it 100%, you can roll 5% of the closing cost on top of the loan as well, so you could really go to 105% of the purchase price of the house, which is amazing. It's almost like subprime back in the day. You remember, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. And don't mistake the name for meaning that you have to live in the country, because
right.
You'd be surprised that some of the cities that are defined as rural are actually metropolitan areas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got there's a website that I'll get to you as well if you email me. That just go in there, you type in your address, and it tells you whether it's USDA eligible or not. It's great, and yeah, there's tons of places that are not rural at all. I mean, it should be called the suburban housing program, because it's really, I mean, of course, it's not made for the city, but it is for suburbs, and a lot of people live in the suburbs or are looking to move to suburbs as well. It's 100% down. The only other 100% down program would be a VA. You'd have to be a veteran or currently in the service right now to receive that. But that's also a 100% program as well. Gift funds can get you 100%. If mom and dad can hand you the money to get you to get that 3.5, or somebody else, a blood relative or something, and you can give it back to them next year when the tax credit comes in. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but that's another way to get to 100%. Whether it be a loan or a gift or whatever, you can definitely get to 100% doing that. You agree, Chris?
Oh, I do.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in.
Oh, okay.
It's a plethora of knowledge.
Let's talk about discount points. Everybody is scared of discount points. Every time I talk to somebody on the phone, the first thing they say is, "Keith, no points. I never ever want to pay points. It's ridiculous." And I want to dispel that myth a little bit and explain it, because a lot of people think that points might be origination, they might be broker fee. They don't really, I don't know if people understand the real meaning of a discount point. So I'm going to pull it up here, and I'm going to actually show you based on a little spreadsheet I did and 3 scenarios here. So Sally homeowner here, let's say, and these are just random figures I pulled and random rates too, out of the air. So let's say Sally homeowner is looking to buy a $250,000 house. We'll just say this is a USDA loan. She's not putting any money down. She's got a normal with no points per se, 6% loan, and her payment would be almost $1,500 at 6%. So that's great. No money down, 6% loan. Let's talk about points. Okay, if she puts down 1 point of discount. Now, what that means is you're, in effect, buying prepaid interest to lower the interest rate and therefore the payment on the loan. So let's say Sally pays a point. So this would go to, and I didn't change this because I just wanted to make these raw numbers, but that would go to, say, $251,000, or she could pay it out of her pocket or whatever. Then her payment, as you see, goes down $99 a month. Doesn't sound like a lot, right? Look what happens over the life of the loan. 20 years down the road, what Sally saved, she saved $45,000 in money that you'd be normally paying the bank. Here's the principal. Here's the interest. As you can see, you're paying a lot more principal and a lot less interest, which is what you want to do ultimately, because on a 30-year loan, you're paying a lot of interest up front. Don't you agree, Chris?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I mean, I think we've both got 30-year loans, and I think we both try to put money toward them extra month, but sometimes that's hard, and it's hard to pay off a loan on a 30 year because it's structured to make the bank money and not us. Okay.
Right.
Now let's take that $99 per month that Sally saved, and let's apply it back toward the mortgage, because remember, you're happy with your $1,500. What happens if we take that $99 and we pay it back toward principal every month? Well, you pay the house off in 25 years, saving interest of $42,000. Now that's on top of the net you saved before. So you're going to pay off the house much, much faster. Now let's look at that discount point. Let's say you buy down to 4,875 and pay maybe, I don't know, 2 points or so. Okay, you save $176 a month in this scenario, but look how much less you've paid. From $244, you've gone all the way down to $163,000 as your total cost in 20 years. I mean, that's amazing. You know, your net savings is much bigger. Look what you pay the house off in. 23 years, saving $57,000. So that is really how points work. Points are made to, they're prepaid interest. You're paying prepaid interest so you can save money in the future. I really wanted to throw that out there because I know a lot of people have never seen that.
And, you know, just as a recap, points doesn't mean that we're getting paid. Points means you're saving money. That's the easiest way.
It's paid directly to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or the government to buy down your interest rate, because every day Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac sell interest rates at a certain amount. So that's how that works. So yeah, absolutely. You're not paying us. I wish. You're not paying us. You know, that's going directly to the loan to buy down the mortgage. But that's what points really are. So next time you hear somebody go, "Oh my God, points are horrible," you can explain this to them, because they're not necessarily horrible. Especially if that seller pays all that. What if you convince that seller in a hard market to pay all that and buy your rate down to 4.875 when somebody else is making a different offer? You might definitely get that seller's attention, and he probably will do it. I think people do anything nowadays to get their house sold.
Oh yeah, they will.
So anyway, I'll go on here. What's included in a monthly mortgage payment? Okay, principal, as we showed just a second ago, interest, your real estate taxes, which are starting to become a big portion of that payment as taxes go up. So the first thing I would be asking when I'm going to look at a house is, how much are my yearly taxes? Take that yearly amount, divide that by 12, and that's what it's going to cost you per month in an escrow. Same thing with homeowners insurance. How much is an average homeowners insurance on this? If you're living close to the ocean or you're living in a flood zone, you might be surprised at that number. It might be a little bit higher than you think. These are things to look into. And then mortgage insurance. Nowadays, just about everything's going to have mortgage insurance on it if it's over 80%. Used to, we could do 80-20 loans, 80-15 loans, and those days are gone. So everything's going to have mortgage insurance on it, except for, say, a USDA loan. FHA's got a very low mortgage insurance rate. Fannie and Freddie have high mortgage insurance rates, but you know, there's going to be mortgage insurance on the loan. Oh, let's see here. Okay, how much of a down payment do I need to get in this house? Well, I would say within either $100 to 5%. $100 being $100 down HUD program or USDA or something like that, all the way up to 5%. FHA being 3.5 down. Conforming, which is Fannie and Freddie Mac, being 5% down. You're going to need possibly closing costs, which can all be rolled into the loan paid by the seller. You're going to possibly need a homeowner's insurance to pay for a year if you can't roll that in. Some home inspections. I always suggest getting a home inspection. I've seen some people really lose maybe have some surprises when they move in the house from not getting the home inspection. I think when you bought your house, didn't you have an issue with a home inspection or something?
We did. Well, the first home that we went and looked at, luckily, we got a home inspection, and there was a mold problem in the house.
Oh my gosh!
Couldn't tell it, but when the guy actually went underneath the house and started digging and prodding a little more, there was like this huge mold problem. So we didn't get that house, but we did get one. We bought the house around the corner that that you've been to, but thankfully, we had that one done. And yes, there's a cost involved, unfortunately, but I mean, it's a cost that is just for peace of mind. Because we could have been in the home with my wife and my son, all of a sudden we're all getting sick because of mold.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
maybe our free money will give away. Maybe our free money will pay for that inspection here in a little while.
yeah. But then we would end up paying thousands of dollars to correct the problem. So I would rather pay the minimal cost up front just for peace of mind.
Absolutely. And let's say the inspector pulls out some problems and some repairs that are needed. Is that the end of the world? Are you done? No, definitely not. You've got loans now called 203K loans that build in up to $35,000 worth of repair or upgrades that you can do to homes. And we'll talk about that here in a few minutes, but that doesn't really knock you out of the water. You can build those repair costs into the loan now. And gift funds, we talked about that earlier.
Well, another thing too about the repairs, if you truly have a seller who is motivated to sell that home, and you present them with their report, and they really need to sell, 9 times out of 10 they're going to do those repairs to get the house sold.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because it's going to be
now,
a recurring problem.
If it's a bank, they're not going to, but
right.
But if it's a homeowner, definitely they're gonna get those things done for you, and that gives you more negotiation on the contract too. If there's an issue, if you don't know the issue and you settle on, Sally Homebuyer settles on a house for $250,000, you're making that agreement to pay $250,000. Doesn't matter what pops up in the future. Remember that movie? What was it called? Money Pit?
Money Pit?
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of that movie. That was hilarious. Remember that lady fell through that big hole in the wall, in the floor?
Yeah,
that was a nightmare.
They bought the home, and it now becomes your
problem. Yeah, they definitely did
problem.
An inspection. Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't get a home inspection in that movie.
No.
So what happens if the house has damage? Okay, we can build in repairs, negotiate with the bank, and we can even get appliances built into these things now too. So if you want to put in, a lot of times, unfortunately, on these foreclosures, people don't leave them in great shape. They go in and just rape the pillage of the house. Walls. Yeah, they could kick in walls. They could not. Rarely have I ever seen appliances left. I mean, that's just rare. I had one. They pulled out. This is unbelievable. It had a pool. They pulled out the actual pump that ran the pool out of the ground. Pulled out the pump and sold it on eBay. I mean, that's crazy, but you're going to find that. So sometimes
then all of a sudden you're swimming in a cement pond like the clamfish.
Exactly, yeah. And trust me, that's not going to appraise. So that's going to have to be repaired through a 203K or something like that. But you can repair these things, put new appliances in them, and make them almost like new, So, okay, another email I got. Actually, this was a phone call from Todd, who's on right now. Todd said, "What actually makes up closing, and who pays it?" This is a great question, and what we do, I always get all the costs together up front. I don't sit around and wait for costs to come in. Part of what our job is going out and finding out what everybody's costs are, negotiating them, and making sure they're correct. So we're not necessarily charging you for us. You've got tons and tons of other parties that are charging on this loan to get this done, and we go out and get the bids and everything and put them all together and build it all into one loan. But the answer to your question is you've got attorney's fees or title fees, property taxes, you're going to need to have escrowed taxes for the year, the upcoming year. Interest, we usually get you from the day of close to the end of the month with interest. We'll carry you on and pay enough interest in the loan to get you there. Possibly an origination fee if that's needed to be charged to cover the lender's costs. Recording fees, they charge you to actually record the document with your name on it at the courthouse. Surveys, if you need a survey. Title insurance. Discount points, like we talked about, can be all included in closing costs. You might, homeowners insurance, appraisals, and the seller,
Home inspection.
Home inspection, exactly. And the seller can pay usually up to 6% of any fees into the sales price. So, example, if the sales price was $100,000, the seller can pay up to $6,000 in costs. And you don't usually see something like that unless you're in maybe Florida or something. But taxes can be a huge portion of a loan now. I mean, depending on the state, don't you agree, Chris? I mean, you've seen some
absolutely.
crazy HUDs.
They can be a massive expense.
I've seen some HUDs in New York that would just make you cringe. I mean, with the taxes, I think there's a New York City tax alone that's like 2% of the loan amount. That's just for like a Manhattan type of New York City tax. But anyway, that's what makes up closing costs. If you were curious about it. So what happens after I've applied for my loan? Okay, here's what happens. We send you a list of the documents that you need to put together. But that list basically before, and I actually really put some thought into this and make sure that list is probably what all you're going to need unless I miss a couple things that are uncovered during the process. W-2s, paycheck stubs, stuff like that. Once you fax that to me, I review it all and document and put the loan together and pre-approve it. I'll send you over at that point a pre-approval letter for your realtor, so you guys can go out at that point and search for a house with a great peace of mind. As soon as you find a property, if it's bank-owned, you can send me over the not yet approved contract, and we can get that rolling into underwriting. I take all of those documents and the loan application that I have created. I send you all of the disclosures to sign, so you know everything on the loan. You sign it, send it back. Then I package all that up and send it to underwriting. Somewhere in there we'll order the appraisal. Appraisal goes in, is also underwritten, and we will get something called a loan commitment back or an approval. And the approval might have a couple things on it, like taxes, maybe homeowners insurance or something that we might have missed. We'll fill those stipulations, is what they're called, approve the loan, and then we'll schedule a closing. And that's pretty much how every transaction works, don't you think, Chris?
It is. I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. So that just gives you an idea of what you're going to be looking at. And I'm there to, help every step of the way. And I've been doing this for 9 years. Chris is 12 years. So, we can definitely put our expertise and make sure that there's no surprises. Here's what you don't want. You don't want that call right here saying, okay, I know I was supposed to ask you this right here, but I didn't, so now I've got to have this, and I don't know if we're going to close. You don't want that call. You want somebody that's going to be a pro right in here, so when you get to here, it's smooth sailing. And unfortunately, a lot of people out there are not necessarily pros when it comes to here. And I've always prided myself on really doing that really closely. So
these little young guns today, they throw it up against the wall and hope that it sticks.
Right, absolutely. And you don't want that. You can tell when somebody's working on a file. They're asking you for stuff. I mean, it's pretty common sense. If they're asking you for stuff and say, hey, I need this, you got somebody that's working for you and doing a good job.
Right.
Okay, here's the best part of the whole thing here. The secret website for unclaimed cash. Now, I want everybody to use this toward home ownership. Don't go out and buy, I don't know, don't go play golf or whatever. I mean, use this toward getting in a house. So, you could find between $50 bucks and $1,000 on this thing. It just depends on what what's there, what you've got left there, what your family's got left there. I'd call all my family too and tell them to do it. That's what I did. But you can use this toward cleaning up your credit, home inspections, appraisals, whatever you want. I just really, since I've kind of hopefully found some unclaimed cash for you, let's use it toward, getting your goals taken care of and getting in a home. So where is it? It's at unclaimed.org, and I'm actually going to walk you through real quick how easy it is to do this, because I did this myself, and it's just very simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to www.unclaimed.org right here, and then I'm going to click on Tennessee because you're going to click on the area that you probably worked when you were younger, most likely, and that's where I was when I was before college, and in college I was working in Tennessee. So you're going to click on Tennessee. It's going to take you into the actual website at that point. And then that's a little slow today.
Of course. All the time,
Would
every time you're going to show
expect
somebody
anything different?
No.
Okay, here we go. There we go. So then you're just going to click here, search for my name. Then you're going to click next here. Love that Comcast high speed. It's awesome, isn't it?
They are just outstanding.
Blazing. Blazing. So we should go back to a slide here for a minute. Anyway, okay, good. So right here, just put in your last name. I'm going to actually do this right now. This is me. And then I love these. These are great. These have made my life so much fun. So type in this. There it is. I found one. Open the details of it. There it is. Wages, payroll, salary. Who knows where I was working? I hate to admit this, but I worked at a place called Logan's. You remember Logan's?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, I was helping put myself through college. I worked at a place called Logan's, and that could be where that was from. It was in Antioch. But $69, I can just basically claim this, and they'll send me the money. And then I called my wife, and she had a bunch of people in the office, and one guy pulled up like $350. And there's who knows, but if you find some, use it toward your homeowner's insurance or homeownership, and hopefully we can get you in a house. Here's a couple other sites too to look at. Savings bonds. If you have any family members that might have bought you savings bonds when you were a kid, which is possible. I mean, that happened a lot years and years ago. You can go here and actually do a full search for savings bonds in your name. Another place, missingmoney.com. You can go in there, and you can, once again, it's the same thing. It's a search. You go in there and you put in your information, and it searches for you. But these are great. Great way to find some extra money. Chris, have you done this yet?
I haven't yet, but now I'm going to, because I'm sure there's somebody that owes me money.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's great. So we'll go, and then this last side here, welcome home. We definitely want to get you in the house. Thanks for coming, and thanks for everything. We will. I'm going to flash up a website here in just a second, and feel free to call me. I'll also put my phone number up there. But you can go on that website and fill out a free application. It's completely secure by one of the largest banks in the country. And you can put in all your information there. It's securely sent to me, and I can run credit and check you out and everything, and see what we can do for you. You can also call me anytime. I'll be happy to take an application over the phone. If you have any questions, can email me. You can see the email up on the screen as well. And thank you so much for attending. Chris, got any extra?
Yep, thank you guys. Hopefully you got a whole lot of information out of this, and